This is the last time I'm going to try to record this. I just sat down and I attempted to make this video over 15 times, and every time I ended it, I felt unsatisfied and disappointed. So I need to accept that I'll probably walk away from this video feeling unsatisfied and disappointed as well.
So you're saying your channel's name, One Take Ash, is a lie?
Basically, a few days ago, Laci Green made a video called Taking the Red Pill, I believe is what it's called.
It's taking the red pill? Inflection at the end, there's a question mark. Just want to let you know.
And I think you should go watch the video. And I think you should go watch all the responses, or not all, I think you should go watch many of the responses that this video inspired, because I think it is an important and interesting conversation, and I don't think you'll be able to totally understand it if this is the only video that you watch about it.
The responses people need to watch are ones from other feminists like Steve Shives, king of the Twitter block and all that, because they're the ones that are saying that she shouldn't do this, that we are all bad. Well, guess what? We're not the ones that censor people, Steve. Just saying.
And I felt so many things watching her video. And when I initially watched it, I had this it lit a fire in my tummy, like a positive fire. I was so excited because I love the idea that it could be possible to have productive conversations with people who have such a drastically different perspective from me.
Be serious. Was that a Sly William Shatner impression? Be honest. And also, it is possible to have a conversation with us if you are a feminist. All you need to do is present facts and statistics that are accurate, and don't resort to name-calling, harassment, doxing, that sort of thing.
I love the idea of these two camps being able to sit down and form a better understanding of each other. I love that. I think that's awesome. And I think that that's what Laci's video was calling for. That's my interpretation.
I agree with you. It is a great idea, and I would love for that to happen also, because I'm tired of us all being labeled white nationalists just because we have a differing opinion, or a pedophile, or all this and that.
Basically, I think it's not as simple as sitting down and saying, hey, let's have a productive conversation, and then expecting that to happen.
Actually, it can be. Just get a hold of somebody respectfully and ask them to have a sit down and just discuss things. I'd be more than happy to. It's that simple.
But I don't. I know it's not as simple as that.
What the hell? You say that like we're three-headed Martians. We're red-blooded humans just like you. We're able to have civil conversations with people with differing opinions. You just have to be civil and ask.
I know. I think it's beautiful and hopeful to wish that could happen, but I also think it's unrealistic and naive and setting people up for disappointment and failure. And you probably think that sounds real pessimistic.
Okay, I'm starting to feel a little insulted. You're acting like we're, like I said, three-headed Martians that can't have a civil conversation with you. All you have to do is ask politely. And if they have the free time, sure, I'm certain they will. Hell, if you want, ask me. I mean, I doubt you'll see this video. But if you do, you can ask me. I'll be more than happy to talk with you.
And you're right, it sounds real pessimistic, but it's also realistic. So I think that Laci's video was essentially calling for a productive conversation, but failed to mention how there are some people you simply can't have productive conversations with because they refuse to remain calm, collected, and respectful. Or maybe they only they choose to become, because I've seen this happen before. I've seen like these opposing parties come together for a live stream, and immediately they are way more cordial and lovey-dovey than they are in their own videos. And it's like, you are not being real. Like, you're not being real.
Okay, don't start with the generalization BS. And also, that is not always true. How do you know that the person is not always nice when they're not filming? If you look at my videos and see how much I cuss up a storm, I don't cuss that much in day-to-day life. Just when something pisses me off. So to say that, oh, you rant, rave, and cuss up a storm in your videos, that means you rant, rave, cuss up a storm regularly? That's a falsehood. You cannot say that about someone, because especially someone that you do not know.
And the sad part is, I don't want them to be real, because when they're both real, they're super disrespectful to each other. I wish they just genuinely were kind and respectful.
And I wish feminists and SJWs would stop calling us white nationalists, pedophiles, rapists, rape apologists, incest supporters, and all that.
You should be fucking ashamed of yourself. You're fucking scum. You are fucking scum. Fucking rape apologist, incest supporting, woman hating, fucking scum.
Is there someone else I can wait to see one follow me?
Fucking scum. Yeah, just another.
I just want to listen to someone else's opinion. I'm not even on a side here. I just listen to as many people as I can.
You know what though? Why would you pay money to fucking support a fucking rape apologist if you weren't fucking one?
I've never heard him say anything that was.
Well, it's fucking scum.
I also wish clouds were cotton candy.
I wish that when I was able to go to these anti-feminist channels and watch them and learn about their thought processes more. And there are channels like this. There are channels. These channels do exist, but I think personally they are few and far between, and their numbers are so much lower. And they are the minority of this group. I wish I could go to an anti-feminist channel and just hear them out and be able to see how they see without, being indirectly called moronic or idiotic or hearing a slur that just is, in my opinion, awful. I wish I could do that.
Odds are you won't see this, Ash, but if you do, tell you what, send me a message on Twitter. I will send you my email address. You send me a list of questions you have. I'll answer them honestly. I'll be polite. We can go from there. How's that sound?
So I think the issue is so much more than let's have these two camps sit down and understand each other.
That's when you have someone from each side get together, have someone of a neutral party set with them, and have these guidelines set down that they will be civil, no name calling, no swearing, whatever, to keep it peaceful. And should someone break the guidelines, the discussion's over, everybody leaves.
I feel like when we talk about important things like this, we should be careful, and we should do our best to do it thoughtfully and correctly. But anybody who is from the other ideology thinks that's just going to be gross, unproductive PC culture talking, and I get that.
You're painting some broad strokes. Yes, we all hate PC culture, to an extent. There is such a thing as being polite and courteous and having manners. But then there's also being told that you can't say the word man, such as man your post, man your battle stations, man your position, whatever, because it's sexist. That's what we hate.
It might be... I hate to say anything's easy for Laci, because it's not. I know... I can't imagine what she's going through right now after this whole thing. Because I was about to say, I imagine it's easy for Laci to want to have these conversations, when she's not a part of every single, minority or oppressed group. I imagine it's easier for, did I say this? I'm not sure. I've filmed this video so many times. I imagine, if I've said this before, I'm sorry. I mean, it's obviously easier for Laci to sit down and debate about non-binary identities when she's not trans. So it might be easier for her to call for these discussions because she's, pansexual and she's a woman, but she's not, but she's white and she's cis. So having some of these conversations would be easier for her than other people. And I think it's important to acknowledge that. And maybe that's why, like, Cat Black hasn't sat down and been like, let's have productive conversations with anti-feminists. Because maybe, like, Cat Black understands and experiences how hard that is.
Now, I don't know Cat Black. I don't know anything about her, anything like that. But I will say it would be more difficult for the more abrasive feminists because we don't have a high tolerance for them before we just say screw it and just go in. Basically just go in for blood, to use a shark metaphor.
Oh, but another thing that worries me is, so, like, I was reading the comments of Laci's video, and, like, the skeptic community is, like, holding her up like a trophy. They're like, we won! We convinced the most feministy of feminists! But that's not what's happening. Like, that is not what's happening.
There are a lot of anti-feminist or skeptic viewers that, for lack of a better word, are idiots. And just, they're the ones that go without being asked or told to and harass feminists and SJWs. Because most anti-feminists, say, don't do this. But then there are still those people that will go and do it anyway. And, like, they'll put, like, hashtag bearing mafia, that sort of thing. When, in fact, no one, bearing in this example, has never once said to go and harass someone. So, yeah. Some of the viewers can be idiots.
I feel like both parties sometimes forget that everything is subjective and personal. Especially... No, both parties. I was going to say especially the anti-feminist community, because the anti-feminist community is always like, logic, 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 studies... Nope, I'm not going to get shady. They say, logic, logic, logic. But they forget that they're talking about these subjective concepts as if they're objective or logical, but they're not.
No, not everything is subjective. Biological, sex, or gender, whichever term you prefer, is objective. Statistics are objective. Math, objective. Science, objective. Feelings are subjective. That's it.
Basically, wait, what was I talking about? There was something I was... Oh! Nope, I don't know.
I'm always up for a good civil conversation if you're interested.